Good deal. Welcome, y'all. Welcome. Thank y'all for coming in. Hey, listen, while we're getting ready to get geared up here, why don't y'all tell us where you are from? So let's go ahead and get started. All right. My name is Brett Chansey. I go by H-Town Wheelhouse. I am the co-host of Locked On Astros. We're your team every day, and I want y'all to just check out our podcast if you get a chance. I want to also introduce my co-host tonight, Bryce Patrick, who is the host of Locked On Rangers. Bryce, introduce yourself, sir.
Hey, y'all. My name is Bryce Patrick. Been writing about the Texas Rangers for 10 seasons now, and finally got some good seasons. Got a good podcast. Been doing this for 5 seasons now with the Locked On Network. I think, Brett, you've been here basically the entire time I've been here, and we've had a good, fun lack of a rivalry for the last few years, but now we've finally got a really fun game, a really fun series ahead that really has a lot of meaning.
That's right, definitely. And that's what we want to talk about tonight, the battle for the AL West, the Lone Star Series. Now, let me give y'all a few notes before we get started and before we introduce y'all to our superstars, because that's why y'all are really here. If you are a VIP, you will have the VIP logo by your name. Turn your cameras on and make sure you're on mute. If you have a question, put your question in the chat and I'll call on you. That way you can ask your question to your favorite player. If you don't see VIP next to your name, you still have access to put your question in the chat, and I'll tee it up for these stars to answer. If you're joining from Facebook or Twitch, you still have time to join us live. Go to let'shang.live to register or just sit back and enjoy the show. Bryce, why don't you introduce our first guest, one of your favorite players?
Our first guest is actually my longtime favorite player, the first baseball player that made me really, really love the game, the greatest catcher of all time, a World Series winner, a MVP in 1999, a Hall of Famer, 13-time Gold Glover, 14-time All-Star, 7-time Silver Slugger. That is the great Ivan Pudge Rodriguez. Pudge, how you doing?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me in the show, and looking forward to be here and have a good time.
Thanks for being here.
Definitely. Man. Hey, thank you, Pudge. Thank you so much. It's an honor. And I want to introduce the 2 Houston Astros that are with us right now. We have Roy Oswalt. Some of y'all know him as the Wizard on the mound. He's Astros Hall of Fame pitcher, 3-time All-Star, and NLCS MVP. And I actually hold in my hand a ball that he hit in batting practice, a home run BP ball from Roy Oswalt from the season that Dan Wheeler, the other Astro that's here right now, got the last out in that NLCS. Dan Wheeler's with us as well, played for the Rays, the Mets, the Red Sox, and the Indians from 99 to 2012. Both of these men are doing some great things after, off the field. We're going to talk about that. So thank you guys for joining us. I know Astros fans are happy y'all are here.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get going. If you guys have questions, if you are a VIP, I will look for our first question. If y'all want to tell us where you're from as well, you may be a Houston Astros fan that's displaced in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and you have been suffering this existence because the Rangers fans all around you. You may be a Rangers fan that lives in Houston now, and you may be suffering through that existence. So let's come in together. Dan Wheeler, good to see you.
Thanks for having
I'm going to ask you first. Right now, you are a high school baseball coach. What's that like, and how have you been able to take your talents from the field to young students today in the, on the baseball field?
It's been a pleasure for me to be youth baseball. Kind of one of the things I started doing after I got done playing professionally. It's really the only thing I'm qualified to do, to be honest with you. No, I joke, but no, I do find a lot of I do enjoy it. I enjoy it so much that it's just I'm very lucky to be able to do it and hopefully pass on just any little bit of thing that can help. We've been pretty blessed. We have a good little area that I'm coaching, Tampa Bay. We just had a pretty good year in the draft, so it's really kind of cool to see some of these kids, 11, 12 years old, coming into their own right now. Some of them going pro, some of them going to college. And just seeing their dedication that the time and effort that they put in, and it's starting to pay off a little bit. So it's any little bit that if I'm around or anybody else, it's just just enjoy it. It's the good part about it, watching them, all their hard work come to fruition. So
Yeah,
Hey
that's
Dan, I
awesome.
got a question for you. How you doing, my friend? It's Pudge here.
what's up, buddy?
How are you? I got a question for you. I coach a little bit. I do a little some workouts with kids. So my question to you: how you handle it with parents when you see them coming to the park and asking a lot of questions and say, "Why you doing this? Why you doing that?" Because I get that all the time. So how you work with that?
Well, it all depends on the
I,
age
wa- I
group.
want to learn. I want to learn because I want to work with. I want to learn that.
Yeah, well, I think the main thing with that is, and parents, they love their children just like we all do, right? And but at the end of the day, it's when you have them between the lines, you're the parent, you're the teacher, you're the coach. I do stress that, and it doesn't always work. There are some parents that try to overextend that, but I think if you try to talk to them and say, hey, listen, I want your son to take accountability for his actions. If he's not playing, then he needs to come talk to me why he's not playing, or if he is playing, he's not playing as much as somebody else. But if you put it in their corner, saying that you need your son to be accountable for what he does, it seems to work that way. I've kind of found that really helps, and they agree with me. Some people leave me alone and let me do it, but then there's some people that, they try to like, oh no, I know better. So, and listen, I tell them, I said, I don't know every answer. We don't know every answer. We're just trying to help. We're trying to put everybody in the best position to succeed and win. And if we can just help just a little bit, that's great. But if I feel like I've seen the difference in when you see parents that are helicopter parents on the baseball field. There's a difference between those kids and the kids that kind of let their kids just play the game.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah, we all love hearing that. And Roy, we actually have our first question. Chris M, we're going to ask you to unmute your mic. You have a question for Roy about making the transition from Houston to Philadelphia. Chris M, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, go ahead and ask your question to Roy.
Yeah, I was just wondering, what was it like being with the Astros for so long? Was it a culture shock going from a team like the Astros to the Phillies and the success that you had there, and then playing with the Rangers and then Colorado? Did it hurt like your mentality a little bit trying to get used to playing for another team? Just what was it like? I'm just curious.
Well, it's definitely different. You come up with Houston through the minor leagues and getting to play with all the guys, and then actually going into the big leagues, you get to play with some of the guys you come up through the minor leagues with. But Houston was awesome. I got to spend 10 years there, and great organization. Love the city. Still go to Houston a bunch. The people around there were just great fans, and it seemed like we kind of transitioned Houston from a football city to a baseball city in 04, 05. We started transition the whole city into a baseball city. So it really a great baseball city now. And like I said, I love Houston. Philly, man, I had a blast in Philly. Some of the best things I remember most of all is, I got to pitch with Roger and Andy in Houston, which made me that much better. And then going to Philly, pitching with Doc and Cole Hamels and Cliff Lee, felt like we had a chance to win every game when we stepped on the field. So it was a real good atmosphere. I think we won 110 games that year or something like that. Philly is probably the most passionate about baseball of any town I've been to. They are, live and breathe baseball there. I remember probably I can count on my hands how many times I actually went to lunch and actually paid for it in Philly, which was great. I love my time there. Leaving Philly and then going to the Rangers was a little bit different, a different atmosphere than I was used to. They was came from a World Series. They was starting to kind of go over that mountain with some of the players getting older. And it was a little bit of different transition to the Rangers organization. Colorado was kind of a short stint. I only, started 5 or 6 games, tore my hamstring off the bone, tried to come back and throw at the end of the season, just, half speed and see what I could do, but kind of just hung in there. But I like Colorado too. It was a great city.
So
All right.
getting
Well, hey,
back to this, oh, I got a question actually for it involves a couple of these guys. Some people might not remember this Astros Rangers rivalry is not that old. The first game actually was played back on June 8th, 2001, and a couple of people in this chat were in that game. Can you tell us, Pudge and Roy? Roy was the one who started for the Astros that game. Can y'all tell us a little what you remember about that game that ended up going 11 innings and the Astros won 5-3 on where was it June 8th, 2001.
I can tell you as a pitcher going into Arlington, you had a lineup with Pudge and A-Rod and Wangan and all these guys with 40 and 50 bombs. So you knew if you could keep the game within maybe 4 or 5 runs, hopefully their pitcher gave up more. That's the only kind of defense you had going into their stadium back then.
Well, for me, we have a guy that we have to face in Roy, and basically our scouting report is just to make him slow down. He was so fast pitching that he don't give us any time. He always catch the ball and step in the rubber and throw it back, and he was very aggressive. Obviously, he mentioned the lineup that we have at the time, which was very powerful lineup, but at the same time we have a tremendous respect with Roy. A power pitcher, not afraid to throw the fastball, and basically one of the best things that Roy has, and we knew it, that he was very aggressive throwing inside. And basically, we didn't do a good job with him. He basically pitched very well uh, during during those times. And when you're aggressive like him, you're gonna get a lot of outs. But back to that, I mean, we start that rivalry. Basically, we start the boot series, and now they changed the name. But the chemistry between the Houston Astros and the Rangers, we start as a National League and American League. Now both things play in the same division in American football. So the rivalry now is more deeply because you play 3 series during the year with the same ball clubs, and it's fun now. But when we started, we just started maybe 1 or 2 series, one at home and one on the road, National League and American League, and it was fun back then.
Do you remember that home run that you hit off of him, Pudge, in that game?
It was a mistake.
I don't remember. Tell me what the score was that game. I don't remember.
5-4. Went to the,
I don't remember that I hit a home run against Roy, to be honest with you. But thank you for telling me that. I
you're
didn't know
welcome.
that.
You and Rusty both got him for a home run in that game.
All right, I must be close. I must be
I don't
close my
remember.
eyes, and I find a ball in my bat and I hit it out.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I'm going to go back and watch that.
No.
Well, and I can definitely tell you that we were looking back through, like, who went up against who, and how everything was. Pudge, you were actually 3 for 14 against Roy Oswalt. And I want to kind of ask you this, and then another question, because Layla O has a question. She's not a VIP member, but what was it about pitchers like Roy Oswalt, the better pitchers in the league, the Dan Wheelers, the Will Harris's, guys that just make all-star games, are in postseason? Why is it so much tougher against those guys when you're in the box?
Guys like Wheeler, and guys like Roy, and all these great superstars that play so many years in the big leagues. You gotta be aggressive with them as a hitter. You cannot think too much. Everything, they're gonna be throwing strikes. They're not gonna walk you. They're gonna be all around the plate, and especially Roy. I mean, when you say that 3 out of 14, so you think about how many times he get me out of 3 hits out of 14. So I was hitting way below 300 with him. So for me, when I face great pitchers like these two gentlemen that was with us today, you got to jump early. You got to you got to be aggressive, and you cannot. Sometimes you cannot give it one pitch for him, because if you get one, you're done. And so I was aggressive anyway. I don't walk. I didn't walk. In my career. Uh, all these guys knows that I was 99.9% that I'm swinging the second pitch all the time that the pitcher throw it to me. So for me, I was aggressive, and I think probably why I was very successful in my career because I put the ball in play a lot.
Excellent. Thank you for answering that. So, Layla asked a question, and then I want to get to Chris's question. Layla asked, Pudge, what would you say was your most memorable moment as a Ranger?
Well, as a Ranger, I gotta say, back in '91, the way they give me the opportunity to play in big league level, was a 19-year-old kid. They came from Tulsa. I was there for, they called me up for 15 days. Petrali got hurt, his back, and they give me the opportunity for me to play in Chicago and in the Rangers. I remember that the Rangers started a long road trip, and we started in Chicago, the White Sox, and then from the White Sox we went to Anaheim and we play Oakland. And by the time we went back to Arlington, I'm already had like 15 hits and never, those 15 days went by, and I ended up playing 21 years in the big league and didn't play one more game in the minor leagues. But I gotta say that for me was one of the great moments in my career. Obviously, the All-Star game in 1995 when we played in Arlington, that was a very a good night there. Play in front of the fans. There, playing three playoff with the Rangers. The ballpark in Arlington. Even though that we lost in three games against the Yankees all three times, but just be able just to play in the playoff, play from '91 there to 2002, and having all those memories. I think those three came into my mind as pretty good ones.
Hey, thank you for that. So Chris G, you're a VIP. If you would unmute your mic, if you want to ask your question, and I believe it's probably for all three of y'all could probably give a little anecdote here to this question. Chris G, go ahead and ask your question, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I'm here with my son, Grady. He's going to be an incoming freshman at Lehigh University. He's going to be pitching next year, and the question is for him. What do you guys have for recommendations for him to get playing time? What should he be doing as he hits campus come day one?
Well, for me, I think discipline is number one. Obviously, you gotta put yourself into a discipline. Make sure everything that you do outside of the game, you gotta put it and work hard and try to do those things. The best way that you can do. Obviously, you're gonna practice and you're gonna do all those things, but you gotta prepare yourself physically. But for me, the most important part, kid, that you gotta have in your game is this part of the game. The mental part of the game, because this is what we use it the most. And basically, when you have this ready, every time you're pitching, every time you play the game, and you anticipate pretty much all the plays that you're gonna do, or every single pitcher. Roy maybe can tell you that as a pitcher because you're a pitcher. But I think if you want to become a great pitcher in the game, you got to think every single pitch before you throw it and locate it where you wanted to locate those pitches. So that this part of the game right here is very important, and physically come after that.
Yeah, I think, pitching standpoint, I tell kids all the time, the number one thing that I try to teach kids when I coach is challenge guys. These hitters are really good hitters, but you also, if you can get these hitters behind in counts, they become less hitters. What I say is, so my main goal from day one, once I got into the big leagues, was challenge guys, challenge them every pitch. A pitch is really hard to hit when it's located somewhere. So I wanted to locate a ball, where I wanted to throw it and what part of the strike zone, and challenge a guy. Don't think, all right, I got to throw the best pitch my first pitch, Because now if you throw one, a great curveball and it's a little bit low or out of the strike zone, now you're up 1-0. And then the next pitch, you got to try to make it a little bit better. Now you're 2-0. Now he's sitting in a great count, so he knows you're going to be in the strike zone. So, my mentality was challenge these guys, challenge them in the strike zone. Don't throw a pitch down the middle, but there's a lot of part of the strike zone. You don't have to pitch in the middle of the plate. You can pitch in and out and use that part of the strike zone. So you pitch ahead, batting averages go down. You pitch behind, batting averages go up. So, my main goal was to challenge guys and try to get them behind in the count. One of the best things that I was ever told was a guy from the Blue Jays. I forgot his name, but anyway, we was in spring training, and he said, "Man, every time I get in the box, I feel like I'm 0-2 before you throw a pitch." And that was the aggressiveness that I was trying to do. I'm trying to get them behind in the count really, really early. So now they have to swing at my pitch, 1-2, 0-2.
Hey guys, real quick, we're gonna continue this. We want to just introduce Ruben Sierra has entered the room. We've got a fourth major league player, a big league slugger. Bryce, why don't you introduce him real quick?
Y'all welcome in Ruben Sierra, a Rangers legend, a four-time All-Star, home run derby champ, a silver slugger, had an MVP runner-up finish in 1989. Ruben, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Very happy to be with all the great players that been on it too.
Rubén, ¿cómo estamos? How you doing, brother?
Bien, mi hermano, ¿cómo va todo?
Everything great. Todo muy bien. You look good.
Thank you.
I know you guys all look like y'all could hit the field tonight. We got the big Lone Star series, going strong right now. I do want to get to Chris. I do want to get to I believe it was Chris M was our next. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Chris G. I'm sorry. Chris G, unmute your mic. I'm sorry. My apologies. Chris G just asked a question. Mike C, I'm sorry. I'm trying to go in order here. Mike C, you had a great question for all of them, and we can include Ruben in this question as well. And just remind y'all, tonight's show is brought to you by Academy. They have you covered for all your baseball needs from top brands of MLB team gear. You can click on the ads here and hang and go to academy.com. And for those of you that already are shopping there, you can go and your next purchase by August 30th, text hang to 22369 to activate the offer get your phones out, start texting and receive that 50% off. Go ahead, Mike C. I apologize. Mike on, go ahead and ask the question.
Hey guys, first of all, thank you for having me. Thank you for everybody being here. Really appreciate it. So the question that I have, and this really goes to all the major leaguers joining us, because you can both speak from different perspectives. On the pitching side, Dan and Roy, you guys all played a lot of games in the minors, paid your dues, then got called up to the big club and had great successful careers. Pudge, you mentioned earlier, you entered the league at 19 years old, went into to professional baseball at 17. Ruben, you started out very young as well. What are your opinions on how fast-tracked now, especially pitchers are, getting jumped into the majors? And then combining that with the pitch clock, how do you see that affecting major league arms? Pudge, you can certainly speak to that on the catching perspective as well. So I'd like to hear everybody's opinions on that.
Go ahead, Wheeler.
All right. Yeah, for me, I think, I do like the pitch clock. At first, I wasn't a big fan of putting a time on baseball. I still don't like that there's a shot clock or pitch clock, whatever it is. But what it's done for the game, I think, has been, it's given us a better product, and it's a more crisp, and I think, we can all attest as pitchers and, Pudge being a catcher. I mean, if you have a pitcher that's going out there throwing strike after strike and getting ahead, it's a well-played game. It's a funner game to watch too. But as far as these kids coming up, getting hurt and I think they're just ready. They're just ready more so than they ever been. I mean, when we talk about specialized sports, it's more so ever. I mean, I live in Florida, so we can play baseball year round, and there's football and there's basketball, and pretty much all these kids have to make kind of a decision when it's I'm not in agreement with. I feel like I like to see my kids play basketball and baseball, soccer, whatever, try to be the best well-rounded athlete they can, but that's not the case. That's happening a lot. A lot of these kids are playing baseball year round, and they're just ready at an earlier age. And part of it too could be with the injuries is they're not quite ready. Their bodies aren't quite ready. And I'm not a doctor, but they're not ready to throw this hard, and they're just building up so much strength so much earlier in life. So, what do you think?
Well, for me, I'm gonna add to what Wheeler said. To me, yes, I mean like, you're 100%, you're 100% right. I think the mechanic that they are teaching today, they're, with the launch, the speed rate, and try to throw the ball as close as from your head, from your ear, so you can create more spin. It's a different it's a different lineup for this kid, and I think in my opinion, uh, I gotta say this, but I think with this kid playing too many games during the year. I mean, when you mention the traveling ball, the high schools, the college, you see college today. Pretty much all these pitchers are throwing every weekend. Basically, the top pitchers, that they are already in professional and signing first round, two rounders, three rounder picks. All these kids are pitching, 120, 130 pitches every time they pitch in college. And I know they have 6 games, 6 days, 7 days to rest, but for the shoulder and elbow is a lot of work. And obviously, to me, it's a concern. I think probably I would love to see a little change on that, so we can see all these kids pitch a little longer in the game. But we all know and we all see, we work in organizations, and when all of these kids sign professional baseball, you see them that goes from 98, 99, in high school, college, to pitch in minor leagues and go from 98 to 89, 90, and we say, what's going on here? It's because the fatigue on their shoulders and elbows is there.
All right, we have another superstar with us. I mean, look, this is a superstar studded event, and we want to appreciate all you guys and girls for coming and hanging out with us. All-star relief pitcher of the Houston Astros, part of the 2017 World Series champion Astros, Will Harris, 452 strikeouts in his career. Will Harris, welcome to the show.
I appreciate you having me again, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely got some good questions coming up, and I kind of want to kick this to all of you guys, Ruben and Pudge and Roy and Ruben. We'll start with you. This Lone Star series is really important for Astros fans, for Rangers fans. How much how much more do you think it would have been important when y'all played against the Rangers had y'all been in the same division like now? Like, how big are these games now that they're both in the same state? A lot of fans are like family members in the same towns. How neat is that for the players? Speak of that from a player's perspective for us.
Well, for us was good because it's a lot of motivator when you were playing, especially when you have a good team and you're in a good position and and a division, you know, and everybody just coming to play and focus on what we have to do and to try to keep ourselves, in a good position and standing, and
Exactly.
You know, we're not thinking too much about when we're playing good. We're not thinking about nothing. Just go over there and do what we have to do, and that's it. Because everything gonna start coming easy and better every time we play. You know.
And I know,
I think
Will,
that
you,
to add
yeah, go
Ruben's
ahead.
comment, I think to me, Ruben has a great point because when we play those games, basically we focus and play our game. I know we was playing against the Astros, but for us was a uh, is another game that we had to go and do our job and play the game. You know, we made this a big deal, obviously, because obviously, great, two teams from Texas, you know, the Houston and the Rangers, but also we have other rivalries. You know, you see the Mets and the Yankees, you see the Dodgers and the Giants and all that. But for us, it was another plus series into our game of baseball. We call Major League our 30 teams. But that's how we started. You know, when we started playing the first games against Houston, yeah, we're gonna go and obviously it's a short ride, short flight, but we gotta go there and play the game hard and try to win ball games. Why? Because I mentioned it earlier. We start this rivalry when both teams are in different leagues, you know, American and National League. Now they're in the same division. They're in the West. They play what 16 games, I think they play together for the year. And if you see the standing, look, you know, 59-41 Texas and 56-44 Houston. So they're right there. It's 3 games, and they're gonna play in Houston starting the series in a few minutes. And I'm sure that that ballpark is gonna be booming because obviously that's what the Texas series is all about, just to face those two teams and put a good teams together, good players together on the field and play a good game.
So I got a
Yeah. So,
question
Will,
for
you were,
oh no, about
no,
not to cut you off, but
no,
I got
go
a
ahead.
question about it kind of ties into the series for Ruben and Pudge. Both of y'all came up when you were really young, and you know Ruben, you know lit it up immediately offensively, and Pudge, you were great defensively. It took you a few years to figure out how to hit your absolute peak at the big league level. And one of the young guys who's really having a breakout year for the Rangers is Leo Taveras. He was a guy who was a very hype prospect for a long time, came up for a couple times the last couple years and hasn't quite figured it out, but this year has really caught fire. What does it take sometimes? Why does it take? What is the difference for some players? Why does it take them like a couple years to figure it out? And then, what is it like to kind of figure out the big leagues and hitting when you are such a heralded prospect when you first come up?
Well, I think it takes a lot of work. Obviously, you know, when you're in the big league, it's because you're a great player. You're a great baseball player, and if they give you the chance to be, you know, in the Houston Astros Major League Baseball roster, you are already a good player. Uh, Obviously, he developed really good in the minor leagues. He's still learning through the process. They call him up into the big leagues, and now look the players that they have. You know, a great player, plays the game, hustle, runs, you know, good hitter, good fielder, and that's what Dusty want him to do. Just go out there, just go, just go and play the game hard, and just do the things that they gotta do. You know, Bochy also do the same thing. I mean, they just those two managers are veteran guys. They knows and understand what baseball is all about, basically. And basically, those two great Hall of Fame managers, what they asking from the players, give me 100% effort every day on the field, and I'm good. Win or loss, but give me 100% effort every day. And I swear you that those two guys, that's the meeting that they all do, and basically reminds me because when Ruben and I have Bobby Valentine as a manager, that's what Bobby telling us. Give me 100% effort every day, play hard, and I'm gonna leave you guys alone and play the game. I don't know if you want to add a little bit more about that, Ruben.
Yeah. The only thing is when you come up to the big league, um, but everybody, the way they're gonna find out to get you out or know the way you're gonna be is challenge you. So they're gonna start challenge you from the beginning and see what you can do. As soon as you start proving that you belong in big leagues, they start changing. They're gonna start making, adjustment, try to get you, off balance, try to get you out in a different way. I have honor. I have an honor to see Poch Rodriguez when he come up to the village because I was first. I was in '89. In '86 I come up to the big league. He came out in '91, I think, right? He came out
91.
in 91, 92. Yeah. And then, I see a lot of ability on him. You know, he got a, cannon arm. If you don't get to the base on time, the ball just goes straight to the center field, you know. And it's some things that you see, when you have a good prospect and a good player come up to the big league, they're gonna find out first what you can do, and then later they're gonna start making adjustment, try to get you out, try to see if you can run on him or the way you're gonna be, the way you're gonna do.
Hey guys, thank you for answering that. I just want to let y'all know that this whole event is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. And Hang Team, I want y'all to pull up the graphic of the giveaways that we have. Right now, we have Pudge Rodriguez has a baseball that he's going to sign on camera while we are
I'm
here.
gonna sign it right. I'm gonna sign it right now. Look,
Just to
it's
make sure
happening.
everybody know that you signed it.
No, no, it's happening. It's happening. By the way, Poch
Don't forget,
HOF
don't
17.
forget put
HOF 17.
HOF. Exactly.
There
There
we
you go.
go.
There you have it.
All right, so this is what is going to happen, okay? We are going to put up a trivia question with multiple choice answers. You have to put your answer in the chat. The first person who answers correctly, the Hank support team will validate the winner in the chat and contact you post event to fulfill your prize. We'd like everyone to have a chance to win, so you can only win one time. We will have a $100 gift card. Roy Oswald will also sign a ball later on. We'll probably have another gift card to top that off. So our first trivia question, let's go ahead and put that up. Hang Team, which two players on today's Hang played for both the Rangers and the Astros? Is it A, Dan and Ruben, B, Roy and Pudge, C, Dan and Pudge, or D, Ruben and Roy? Again, the Hang Team will they will either acknowledge it, they'll send me a message, or they acknowledge who. All right, there. Byron D, congrats on winning. We have your email registration and we'll contact you in the next week to get your prize to you. This event is brought to you again by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Make sure that you text HANG to 22369 to receive 15% off your next online purchase. Now, Will Harris, you are probably the closest one to all of these Lone Star games because you were with the team, with one of the teams most recently. How big is this rivalry to you? I mean, this is pretty much, I guess, this is kind of the rivalry that Pudge and Roy built. Will Harris, you were a part of an important team in Houston history in 2017. That was probably one of the most memorable years of my life as an Astros fan. What does the Lone Star Series mean to you even today, going into the 2023 postseason?
Yeah, I'd say the 2017 season was the where we kind of turned the tide, I guess, because we got our butts whipped pretty heavily in 15 and 16 by the Rangers. I think they probably won the division both those years.
They did.
And then
Just chiming in.
Yeah. Well, I know we didn't win it, and they beat us all the time, so I would assume it was them. But and then 17, we kind of turned the tide a little bit in the rivalry, and then we kind of hit our stride. And in my last 3 years there, we kind of got them back and kind of carried that wave of momentum. I'm not sure how it's been since I've left. I know the Rangers obviously have a good team this year. They're playing really well. The Astros are kind of playing the chase role that they haven't played in quite a long time. So it's good for baseball. I like parity. I like the fact that the Rangers obviously have a very talented team. They have a great manager. They got a great front office. They got a brand new ballpark. So it's great. It's great for the AL West. And so I wish Anaheim would play a little bit better. But yeah, the rivalry meant something. I mean, we had a few bench clearing brouhahas here and there. It was fun. It means something to the fans because when we played in Dallas, or I should say in Arlington, we had a lot of fans there. And when they would come to Houston, they would travel a lot of fans there. So you had that mixture of fans, and you could feel that, and so it was a lot of fun, a lot of really good memories. They had a lot of really good teams, especially early on when I was there. Those first few years, their lineups were incredibly deep and incredibly talented. So it wasn't a team that I look forward to playing by any means, with the Prince Fielders, obviously, and the Adrian Beltres and the Josh Hamiltons and all these guys that made up a pretty tough lineup to navigate.
No, yeah, that's and we love hearing it from you guys. We love hearing about your experience, and yeah, those are some rough years for the Astros fans, but we finally got it done in 17 and again in 23. And look, the Rangers have definitely held their ground. I definitely wasn't a believer early on, but they made believers out of me, and I just hope that we can turn the tide again, as it's kind of swung in their favor. John K, if you would unmute your mic, you have a question about Immaculate Grid. This is a pretty popular game going on social media, and if you're a super baseball fan, it probably makes you feel really smart if you don't like Sudoku, because I don't like that game, but I love an Immaculate Grid. So, John, ask your question.
That must explain why I'm hooked on it. So I'm just wondering if any of the players who are on tonight are also playing Immaculate Grid these days.
I have played it, yeah. It's I have a buddy of mine who sends it to me and reminds me about it. It's pretty neat.
Nope. Boys are into it.
Yeah.
I try to go as old school as possible.
I have grandkids that play on it, but not me.
I'm old school, so I don't play.
But you would do well, Ruben, because you would know a lot of those, low percentage answers, the guys you play with.
But I wasn't good with that,
I think they had a couple of days ago, it was like Rangers and Yankees. And so, of course, I went with Pudge. But next time it's you, Ruben. And I bet you I'm going to get a really good score from that. So.
Oh, think that twice because I'm a good thrower. So think that twice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much, John. Hey, Roy, I want to throw a question to you, because I know watching you pitch at Minute Maid and watching you just have the career you had in Houston, one of the things a lot of people talked about was the power that you had really came from your legs. Talk to young pitchers who may be on here about how important it is with the exercise, the conditioning, your lower half, because a lot of times we see, whether it's a hitter or a pitcher, they always talk about the upper half and the lower half not being in sync. How important was that as you were coming up in the baseball ranks, and really put you on top, I think, as one of the best pitchers of your era?
I think that's a big plus for us pitchers. I work my lower half way harder than I work upper body. Guys now, they do a little bit more upper body training than we did back then. Back then it was you crush your legs and you just do lightweight upper body. But I teach kids all the time, your leg is what carries you through the 7th and 8th and 9th inning. Your upper body will carry you the first 5 innings, and then it's not gonna carry the last part. So it's a different mentality now. Starting pitching. When I was playing from 01 to to the end of my career in 13, our whole goal was to get as deep into the ball game as you can. My goal was when I started to try to go 9 innings every time. I knew I probably wasn't going to go that deep unless I kept my pitch count down, but I was going to try to get into the 9th inning with less pitches I could. And the mentality now is kind of go all out for 5 innings and then try to turn it over to the bullpen and see how that goes. Bringing in a guy throwing 100 to 105 and finish the game out. My mentality was, hey, I'm going to get you into the 8th and 9th inning as much as I can, because the way you win 20 games, if you'll see these guys that's winning 20 games now or in the past years, these guys are getting into the 7th and 8th inning. Guys that only get into the 5th inning, they're not going to win 20 games, because you have to get late in the game, because my whole goal was to be able to pitch against the other guy's bullpen. If I could pitch against the other guy's bullpen, I'm usually going to win the game because I got the starter out there early. And so the mentality's changed a little bit. But as far as workout, your legs carry you deep into the game. To throw 240 innings, 230 innings, you have to have your lower half powerful. And my whole goal every year was to throw 240 innings. So if you don't have the lower body, you can't transfer it to your arm. And that
That's
carried
true.
me through my whole career.
I remember that. I remember because Nolan Ryan, he used to work a lot in the bike, do some step and work his leg a lot. I was watching him when he would play with the Rangers at the end of his career, and what I agree with what you're saying. You gotta work your leg hard, you know. So that brings you all the power from bottom to the upper body.
So
I'll tell
so
you
before we
something
get
too. So you
yeah, go ahead.
guys probably don't know. Ruben actually probably don't know this either, but Ruben was actually my first guy I ever faced that was a big leaguer. He was my first year I got drafted in Houston was I think '96, and he came down on a rehab and faced the Astros. I think it was the Yankees at the time. Him and Darryl Strawberry came down, and he was the first big leaguer I faced. So I always remembered him and followed him from then
Oh
on.
yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Hey guys, thank you, Roy, for that. Roy, you have a baseball as well, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, I got
All
one.
right. So this baseball is actually going to be picked at random. So Roy, go ahead and sign that.
All right. Do I need to put Hall of Fame on here too, Pudge, or just?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Roy Oswalt signed ball. So this is what's going to happen, because the hang team just informed me what they're going to do is they're going to take everybody that's in here and they're going to pick someone at random to send that ball to. They will be in touch with y'all to do that. Thank y'all so much for hanging out, guys. This is great stuff to hear. Everything, the game's changed and everything. I want to call on. I see Christopher M. He has a question for Ruben. Christopher M., if you would unmute your mic and ask your question to Ruben. If everybody else would remain, if their mics would remain muted while you're not up, that way we can keep the background noise down.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. I had a question for Ruben. I know that the outlook on your career changed at some point before you came back, and you had some conflict with Joe Torre when you were playing for the Yankees, and you came back and turned that around towards the end of your career. So I was wondering what caused you to change the way that you looked at your career and how you handled yourself on the field.
First of all, before Joe Torre came to the Yankees, I was there, playing right field. I was fine and everything, but when he came, I think he saw me a little bit, overweight, and then he wanted to move Paul O'Neill to the right field and put me in a DH situation. And I think that I was too young for me to be a DH at that time. Um, that I don't agree with him to be a DH, but I don't have nothing else to do. I gotta do what I have to do. They put me DH. I wasn't feeling comfortable. Um, and then we have a little conflict with that stuff. That's when I get traded to Detroit for Cecil Fielder. Then I start playing over there, and well, everything turned around right there. Not because I cannot do the job. If it's not um, something that I can control, I can do what is not in my hand. What is not in my hand, I can do anything. I just do what they let me do. So my career take another role. So I had to, you know, do what I have to do, get ready for what they give me, and try to finish strong with what they need. You know.
Hey, thank
That's
you for your
great.
question.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you, Ruben.
Well,
I got a question for all the major leaguers here, because all y'all have some relation to this. So this Rangers team is for the most part, filled with a lot of veterans, but there's also a bunch of young players that haven't quite tasted their first postseason experience. What was each of y'all's first postseason experience like, and how is it different from the regular season? Ruben, you can go ahead and start.
Well, my first one was with the Oakland A's in '92 when I get traded. When I get there, I remember that I was sick. I got a chicken pox all over the place. I wasn't play for about a 2 week, I think, and I just get traded right there, and then I go over there and play. But I tell you what, that was amazing experience. Play, the playoff against the Blue Jays when Robbie Alomar he beat us with the home run the right field, and we were playing good. They got a good team. I think that year they win the World Series. I think, yeah, when Joe Carter hit a home run against Mitch Williams in the left field. Um, that was a good experience for me. Being a playoff with the Oakland A's. We having a good team, but they play better.
Pudge, tell us about your first playoff experience, which was with the Rangers and was the franchise's first ever playoff experience. What was that like? I think you're on mute, Pudge.
There we go.
There you are.
No? Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
For me, it was absolutely incredible. Obviously, I was young at the time, and I was there for the first time, playing for the Rangers, and that was the year that I mentioned earlier uh, that we play against the New York Yankees in the first round, and that was when the Yankees at the time they was the unbeatable team. A lot, they win so many World Series in the road. At the same time, winning team playoff pretty much every year. But just be able just to be there, play at the Yankee Stadium, start game one in best out of five series there in New York with the atmosphere there at Yankee Stadium at the old stadium, not the new, at the old one was incredible. And then came to the ballpark in Arlington, and I remember then all these 53,000 people was having red and white towels, flying it around. Was a great experience. Obviously, that year we got eliminated in 4 games, but obviously it was a great experience, and it was a good one.
And I tell you what about the Yankees, they have almost
You
half a
was there.
stadium. They have almost half a stadium fans in everywhere they go. So make it
Yeah,
easier for them.
Ruben was play for the Yankees, when I was when I was there. Yeah,
The Marlins.
they pretty much 53,000 in Texas was 41 New York Yankees fans.
So Roy and Dan, to piggyback off of that, Roy, you had the 04 and 05 years. Talk about those playoff experiences, how big those were with the Astros.
Go ahead, Dan.
For me, that was the playoffs are like no other. Honestly, I mean, I think we all can agree it's another level. It's a step up in the game, and every single pitch, every single thing matters so much that it's quite. We've had big runs in Houston in 04 and 05. I know for me, I just got traded over to Houston at the end of August, so we were on a great run at the end of that year, and we kind of just threw into the season. Didn't really have too much to think about it, but we ended up going to Game 7 of the NLCS, and I mean we had a really good chance of winning that. Simmons was on the mound, so we were going to go to the World Series against the White Sox that year, and that was just one of the best series. Even though we lost the NLCS, that was one of the best series, and I think Roy could probably agree with me. That back and forth series. I mean, I feel like we were playing the Cardinals every day because we played them the NLCS in 05 too. But for 2 years in a row, I mean, we kind of played games all year because the last day both years. So it was a one game throughout the whole season for the most part. But was it 05 was the year that was kind of special when everybody had written us off and we kind of made a nice comeback at the end, and I think we started 15-30 and coming back and making it to the World Series that year was pretty awesome. But I think that 04 year was the first year Houston had actually won a playoff series too, which was pretty special. So, but I know my first appearance was in Atlanta, and just being in that, I mean, they had 10 or so, whatever that record that they had was in the postseason. And when I looked up at those flags, and realizing how hard it was to make it to the postseason, that was a pretty special accomplishment that they were able to do.
Yeah, I got a chance to go. I think it was 01, or maybe 02. We got beat out by the Braves, but I didn't pitch in that series. We were beat out in 3 games. Anyway, and 04 was a better run. We had and probably in 04 we probably had the best team. To me that year we had a better team in 04 than we did in 05. We had Jeff Kent was there, Beltran was there. Beltran was there, and it came down with St. Louis. Every year we play them 16 times during the year, and then it seemed like it was just a battle between us and St. Louis every year. They had a great team also, and I think we went 6 games or 7 games with St. Louis in 04, and I think Edmonds walked off, or maybe in the 6th game, or beat us in the 6th game. And then in 05 we came back, and the same thing. We're battling St. Louis all the way through, and finally got the upper hand on them in Game 6 instead of them getting us, and getting into the World Series, which is a dream come true. That's what you play for. As a little kid, you always dream about being in a World Series, and I actually got to be the first guy to hold the ball on the mound in the first game of a World Series in Texas, anywhere in Texas. So pretty special to be out there.
Yeah, Roy, I remember those series. I had my 2.5-year-old daughter at the 18-inning game, the one where we walked it off. That was insane. Some people in my family weren't happy with me, thought that was not good parenting, but I thought it was a great dad move on my part. And then I was, the game that I caught, that baseball that I have in my hand here, the home run ball. Roy Oswalt hit 8 home runs out of the ballpark in BP. I'm just telling you, the dude could match. Okay, if you need universal DH help, go to Roy Oswalt. He's your guy. But I do want to get to a couple questions here. We got Roel, and then we also have another lady who's been asking, been patiently waiting, Bridget M. Roel. Go ahead and unmute your mic. You have a question for the guys, and then just make sure that y'all continue to stay tuned. We've got other stuff that we want to give to y'all, so stay tuned, and thank y'all for being patient and hanging out. Royal, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Good evening, guys. Bro here. I just got a question for basically all the players. Uh, there's been points, in the season where you guys get in a slump or something that carries you, a drive. But is this something that I understand that you got to dig deep for, or what is it that helps you carry?
Well, for me, you gotta stay strong every day. You gotta keep playing hard every day. Obviously, when you play at the major league level, you play 162 games, and 62 grind is a grind season. It's a lot of year. It's a lot of it's 8 months, a lot of bats, and you gotta keep working hard. You gotta stay strong mentally, physically, and pretty much all the aspect of the game, so you can have a good season. Obviously, it's gonna be more. You're gonna have some struggles during the year. That's an offensive. I'm gonna give you basically a quick math. I mean, basically, if you're an offensive hitter and you play 162 games, you're gonna get four times out, and you're gonna have 600 at bat, but you're still gonna be 400 times out, right? And you're gonna hit 200 hits, and 200 hits give you 333, and you're an MVP. Okay, so for me, you got to prepare yourself to make sure you handle those things because the more that you play, the more things you're gonna do. Obviously, you're gonna get some struggle. You're gonna go, 0 for 10, 0 for 15 on the field. You're not gonna be able to do things that you wanted to do, but as long as your mind is ready and you focus in the game and go back to the basics of the game, when you was good, you're gonna end up, get out of it as quick as possible. But baseball is a grind. Baseball is a sport that you gotta keep fighting, keep playing, enjoy, because the name says it's a game. You gotta take it like a game, and it's a challenging every day. And the more challenge that you have every day, the better you're gonna be. And if you be able to handle those things as a baseball player, you're gonna be okay.
Hey guys, we just want to thank Roy Oswalt and Pudge Rodriguez thank you guys for joining us. I mean, legends of the game. A lot of people in here grew
Thank
up
you very
watching
much.
y'all play. And who would have thought when we watching y'all play that one day we'd get to sit in the same room with you and talk to you about baseball? Thank y'all so much for showing up. Thank you for hanging out. Some of the greats of the game, some of the great Rangers, Astros, just all around Major League Baseball players. We appreciate you guys.
Thanks y'all so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you
guys
guys
for
very
having us.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you. And
opportunity. Thank you.
no, yeah, definitely.
See
So
you guys.
see you, Roy. See you, Pudge. Y'all have a good one. They have to get going, guys. But Bridget M., you've been patient. You're a VIP there. And listen, please keep asking your questions. Please, if you typed in your question, you feel like you missed it, please retype it. We want to make sure that we get to everybody that we can. So, Bridget M., you are up next. Go ahead and ask your question. You have to just make sure you unmute your. There should be a mute button. There you go. Go ahead, Bridget.
Okay, so my question is like, what is your favorite merch? Like hat or socks? What is your favorite? Like, do you like water, Gatorade, and if you plan, even though I know like you think of health wise and things, but do you like peanuts? Because when I play softball, you guys play baseball. So I like hot dogs. Granddad used to take me for hot dogs. So I don't know if you like hot dogs. Always 7-Eleven and hot dogs, and his has to be a quarter pounder. So definitely quarter pounder for me. But just y'all have like a lot of cool stuff. So other than like sportsmanship and your favorite gear and everything, I was just wondering like what's your favorite merch and like do you like water or Gatorade?
When you say something about merch, what do you mean, like clothing or what?
Your clothing, like your hat, your socks, the
Yeah.
shirt. You like the whole
Yeah.
sweatsuit, the whole baseball gear.
Always like anytime we got any gear for baseball, I mean, I just loved all that stuff, hoodies and jackets and t-shirts. That stuff was always fun. I mean, it was kind of one of the perks of being in the big leagues. You know, we'd always kind of get some extra gear that, you know, you didn't get. I think the ongoing joke in the minor leagues was if you didn't like their uniforms, play better because you get tailored uniforms in the big leagues. So everything is that much better. And it's the reason, there is a reason why it is better, because it's better and that's where you want to be. But yeah, there's that kind of stuff never got old. That, you know, just being able to get, you know, a nice new t-shirt, you know, but you know, that's, yeah, hoodies are my thing.
Hoodies are your thing. Good, cool. Now I know hoodies. I need to come up with my hoodies then. Thank you.
I got a question for Ruben. This is something that people might not know about you, but you have a successful career as a salsa music artist. Can you tell us about how you got into music and just a little bit about your journey as an artist?
Hey, let me tell you, this is come from little. When I was little, you know, I like to sing and everything, but you know, I was playing baseball, so you know, I was playing baseball and I sing, and I had that in my heart too, you know, both of them. But the thing is, you know, the baseball give me the opportunity to getting in the music to do an album. Why? Because I made the money so I can do an album, and you know, I taken advantage of that to make the, you know, the career singing, you know, in another job, and it's been successful. It's been good, you know. I've been busy. The whole I've been visiting like Spain, the whole Spain, you know, Suecia, a lot of other places that I never know that I was gonna visit when I was playing baseball, you know. And I've been all the world, little by little, South America, you know, Chile, Colombia, Venezuela. So it's been good to me doing that, but it's not the I never lost I never lost the passion from baseball. Baseball was my first thing in my life. And the second, you know, was singing because I had that too. But I had to do one first, you know. So baseball came first, and the other one came because baseball.
Well, if you're wanting to look for someone else to help with their turn from a baseball career to music career, Martin Perez is a current Ranger and has a lovely singing voice, and he actually sang the national anthem for Venezuela before one of the WBC games. And I've also heard that Rangers third base coach Tony Beasley is also a fantastic singer. So if you're looking for someone to join your studio, you might want to reach out to those guys and help them live their music dreams as well.
Yeah, but hey, listen, you know, Bernie Williams, he graduated from the music school. I mean, he's a teacher and with the guitar. Paul O'Neill used to play the drum and everything. I mean, I was the only one singing, and I think people misunderstanding a little bit about me singing and not play the baseball like I used to. No, no, no. It's like anybody else. Anybody else can be in a slum, you know, having a good season and having a bad season. Hey, and that time I didn't have the season that they expected, so they try to confuse. I was more into the music, into the baseball, and it's not work like that. It wasn't like that.
Yeah,
You
you
know?
got to have something to get your mind off of baseball when you're in a slump. Why not go sing? I feel like it's a great way to get your mind off things.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes you gotta forget because you don't want to bring the last day at the new day. if you are 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. That happened to me one time when I would play with Oakland. I strike out 4 times in a row, and I have a record. You know, I have a record. I strike out 4 times in one game, and then the next day I strike out the first time at bat, my first time in the second game. But after that, I get out of the slump, and that's the way it works.
But see, the way I look at it, Ruben, you got to strike out in 2 games 5 times. I never got to strike out in a big league game. So you at least have that. You at least made it to the big leagues. And let me tell you guys, if y'all are having fun hanging out with us and the Stars, you want to come back tomorrow for our Ligas Cup hang. Not only will you be sharing the screen with FC Dallas legends like Jason Chris and Daniel Hernandez, but you will also be hanging out with Tim Howard. He's been added to the lineup. But you can also win an Apple TV Ligas Cup season pass, courtesy of Hang. Just go to let'shang.live to get your free tickets. And again, this is brought to you by Academy, who has you covered with all your baseball needs, from top brands to MLB gear. You can click the ads here in Hang, or you can go to academy.com. Make sure you text the word Hang to 22369 to activate your 15% off. I'm going to piggyback this to finish off Bridget's question. And then, Will, there is a question to you from Tom R., and I will let him ask you that when your mic is up. Swag, like, what was your go-to? Were you a bubblegum guy? Were you a seeds guy? Were you you got extra Gatorades? What was it for you in the dugout game day?
I was kind of the consume it all guy. Yeah, it was gum during BP. It was seeds. It was it was kind of everything. I was a water guy. I didn't drink a lot of coffee or anything like that. Nowadays there's a million different pre-workouts and energy drinks and all that kind of stuff that you can take. So, but yeah, I was just kind of do it all a little bit, so that was my thing. The swag stuff. Nah, I mean, really, us relievers, which was pretty low maintenance. So it was. I'm with Dan. I probably all the stuff I still have hanging in my closets are probably the sweatshirts. I had a buddy I played with. Everybody knows Colin McHugh. He's an Astro, right? So Colin, a neat thing he did. So every single year when the season would end, and Dan, attest to this, you pack a box of your whole locker. Okay. And it's everything you've accumulated over the year, which is like a zillion t-shirts and sweatshirts and jackets and cleats and shoes and all sort of kind of stuff. It's like a memorabilia collector's like dream. And you pack it all in a box, and you can if you're driving home, you take it home in your truck. If not, they'll ship it home for you. So Colin McHugh did that for years, and he labeled them of the years on it, and he hasn't opened them. And whenever he retires, him and his boys are going to open them. It's like a time capsule, right? So he's going to be able to go back and open up these boxes labeled, say, 2014 or 2015 Astros, and it's going to be all of his stuff from that year. And I've always thought that was just the absolute coolest idea. And so I wanted to share that.
Yeah, Colin McHugh is cerebral like that. He's one of your guys that, like, he's thinking something. A lot of times you don't know what he's thinking. That fits right in with Colin McHugh.
Yeah.
I know his wife's a fun follow on Twitter as well. So Mike, I believe it was Tom R. Will had a question for you. And so Tom R., if you would unmute your mic and ask Will your question. And now, just to give you an update. Hey, real quick, Tom, just to give an update, the Astros, Brandon Bielak has 2 outs in the top of the first with a 2-2 count. So the game has already started, just letting y'all know that. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, first of all, Will, I appreciate the shout out to Mets legend Colin McHugh. But yeah, so I'm wondering, of the guys active in this game who you played against, who were the toughest outs to get, both from what you saw when you were their teammates, but also facing them, like, for you personally on the mound, who was the toughest for you to get out?
I would say Seager hit a double off me in the World Series on like a first pitch backdoor curveball. I still don't know how he did that. So I think maybe the only time I ever faced him. And then Abreu, who plays for the Astros, he was one of the most talented hitters that I remember facing. Back when he was with the White Sox. Ruben can attest to this. I've heard this along many times over my career. As bad hitters run out of bat and good hitters get jammed, and the only way you could get Abreu out was you had to pitch him in, and you had to go hard in on him. That's why he gets hit a lot. I'm sure I probably been getting hit a lot this year. And I didn't. I threw cutters. So any righty that I had to throw inside to was an absolute nightmare for me, and he fit that. So he was not a comfortable at bat for me. He saw the ball well against me, and he's obviously a big, intimidating guy who can hit the ball out of the ballpark. So, and he's a talented hitter. I don't think he gets enough credit for just how good of a actual overall hitter that he is. So Abreu is probably pretty high.
Hey, thank you, Will, for answering that question. We're gonna roll through some other questions. I'm just gonna kind of bounce around here. Delbert E, you have a question, and Dan will start it off with you since you are a high school baseball coach currently. Delbert E, if you would unmute your mic and ask your question, Dan, and then Dan, maybe Ruben, and then we'll kind of give a little short response on this question. Delbert E, are you there?
Hi, I was just wondering what advice you had for kids that were coming up in Little League as to how they could improve their game and maybe one day play in the major leagues. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Enjoying listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Delbert.
Yeah, thanks for the question. For me, I think if we're going way back to Little League, I think we should always explore, and I think I touched on this a little bit earlier, play other sports too. Don't just be so baseball minded. But as you're working up through high school and on your way to college and stuff, I think it's important to have a good throwing program and to have a good shoulder strengthening program. All the little muscles inside your shoulders and your back to keep that strong, I think will only help a young athlete, all over, whether he's a pitcher or hitter too, but especially for pitching. So if I could give one piece of advice, it would be to make sure you do a good shoulder program.
Oh, just an important game update. Josh Young just hit a 2-run homer, so the Rangers are up 2-0 in the top of the first. Just got to make sure everybody knows that, especially Brett.
Hang team, we're going to need to mute Bryce's mic. Ruben was trying to talk. How dare you interrupt a major league player? Ruben, I'm going to ignore what Bryce said. Ruben, tell us, what is some advice you have for little leaguers trying to make it to the big show?
Well, they gotta work hard, and whatever he wanna do, he gotta do from the heart, from the heart, and you gotta, learn the more you can learn, and try to do what you can do, the best, and learn about this game, because this game is not easy. It's like a lot of people get hurt. So you got to do what you got to do so you don't, prepare yourself so you can be stronger and you can be ready for when the time come, you don't pass through all the stuff. Because when I was playing Little League, we only play weekends. We don't play during the week. So we only work like one day a week. We have practice, and then we play in the weekends. So it's not like in college or high school that they play almost every day. So that's when they have to have more careful, with what the guys say about the arm and strength and all that stuff. Because if you're not strong enough, you're gonna get hurt, you know. And you gotta prepare yourself for all the stuff. But when the time comes, you don't get hurt in the spring training, because it's gonna be something new that you're gonna explore. When you sign professional, you're gonna play every day. It's not like one a week or 3 days a week. It's every day. So a lot of people, got tendonitis, got sore arm, and because they not ready to be, when you sign professional, it's not the same when you were playing little league.
So we had a question.
Well, why don't you go ahead and finish this? Go ahead, Bryce.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I would just say, like, I'm in the thick of this, right? I have a son who's turning 8, and I'm gonna start coaching his little team this year. Now that I'm not playing anymore, and I would say my biggest focus has been on like trying to control their experience, as in, I was told this a long time ago that with kids you can kind of only carry them so far, and then it has to be their choice, especially when they get into their early teen years. And so I think that if it's not enjoyable for them, then once they get up to where they can kind of start making their own decisions in their early teen years, they're just going to decide they don't want to do it anymore. And people call that burnout, right? I have a hard time believing that a 12-year-old, 13-year-old boy would get burnt out on baseball just by itself. It's probably because too many things have been pushed on him, or so for me, it's just going to be about. I'm sorry.
Oh, he was the best pitcher in the team, and they use him every
They
time,
use him too much. Yeah,
and that's why he
yeah.
get hurt or he get tired,
Right. Yeah. So I think for me, it's going to be more about like controlling my sons, but also all the little kids that I'm coaching's experience, than it is going to be like make sure we win every tournament, and sacrificing my best pitcher to throw every game just so we can win a tournament that nobody's going to remember that we won in 5 years anyway. So, so that's my advice is make sure that you're doing things that makes them want to come back and makes them want to keep doing it. Because if it's not fun for them at an early age, you're not going to put that in your heart like Ruben was talking about. That's where that comes from when you're a kid and you get it inside of you, and that carries you into adulthood. Like we all still have that because that was implanted in us when we were young boys. And so that's what I want to give to them. Even if they don't play a lick of high school baseball, they can still love baseball like everybody in this chat that we're dealing with. So that's what I hope.
I think Christopher M had a question. So Christopher, you can turn your camera on and unmute your mic and come ask about I think to Ruben in 1980 about a game in 1986.
Yeah, that's right. So when I was a kid, I collected baseball cards, and Ruben was my favorite player. And in 1987 Topps, there was a card as a Ruben Sierra record breaker. He was the youngest player to ever hit a home run from both sides of the plate in the same game. And the best thing about that is that he did it on my birthday. So it was always a very special card for me. And Ruben, I just wanted to ask you, do you remember that game and that experience, and what was that like for you?
That was a great. I don't even think about that. I know I had to face Bert Blyleven, and another lefty was last name was Anderson. I know it was great because everybody started talking about Bert Blyleven and Bert Blyleven. I say, well, he was a great pitcher, but I gotta face him, So I remember he threw me, I think it was a breaking ball, and I hit a home run against him. And then I faced lefty later on in the game, and I hit another home run at the age of 20. Yeah. So that was a great feeling. And I don't even know about the record or nothing. I was playing and do my job.
That's great. Thank you so much, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. It looks like right now we are about 5 minutes out. We want to do another trivia question though before we go, because we have a $100 Academy gift card to give away with a trivia question. So put your answer in the chat. How many different stints did Ruben Sierra have with the Texas Rangers? A1, B2, C3, or D4? First person that has it answered correctly, the Hang team will right there. David R, congrats on winning. We have your email address and your registration. We'll contact you next week. I've just been, yes, we can do Hang team. Do we have another trivia question? If we do, give me the trivia question template and we'll do another one real quick. All right, look at this. Which prize has historically been given to the winner of the Astros Rangers season series? Is it A, $1 million, B, Parade of Texas, C, silver cowboy boot, or D, a gold trophy? The first person to answer that correctly, the Hang team will let you know who won that. So listen, guys, we want to thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. I mean, right now we've got Will Harris here. We've got Dan Wheeler. We got Ruben Sear. I mean, these are legends of the game. These are guys that we look up, that we have baseball cards of, that we watch play in person, that we saw go through ups and downs. And so we want to thank you, gentlemen, for taking time out of your day to hang out with us, because for us, we didn't get to that level, but to be able to get inside of your head a little bit, to hear about your dreams and what you've accomplished, it makes us feel even closer to the game. And that's why we all love baseball. I believe it's the best sport in the world. I know there's other sports out there, but I'd much rather play baseball over anything else. Guys,
Wow,
y'all have
Brett,
any
are you
closing
forgetting about my big league career? I can't believe you forgot about my
Oh,
big league
I
career.
forgot. I'm sorry. My bad. RBI Baseball on Sega Genesis in the 90s. But yes, hey, it was legitimate though. Hey, I remember the first RBI Baseball, you could bunt a home run. I love that. But guys, Ruben, Dan, and Will, some closing remarks for you guys, just to the fans and stuff like that as we kind of prepare to wrap it up.
Appreciate it. Thank you for everything. I'm very happy to do it. I hope I can do it again. So that was great.
Yeah,
Thank you,
it
Ruben.
was. It's always really fun coming on here with different guys and hearing different perspectives. I appreciate the time. Look forward to getting an opportunity to do it again. I'm always available to talk baseball. It's very fun to do.
Same goes for me. This is second or third time that I've been able to do this, so I had a lot of fun doing this. Talk baseball. It's always a good time. So thanks.
And hey, I want to say thanks to my co-host Bryce, man. Thanks for hanging out. And listen, we appreciate the Hang team bringing us on. Locked on Astros, Locked on Rangers. We would ask y'all to go check out our YouTube channels or go listen to us on Apple, Google, or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Free and easy to listen to. This is what I'm hoping for, gentlemen that are still here. I want an ALCS, an all Texas ALCS. I think that would be the best thing for our audiences. And I know I see John shaking his head, but let me tell you, we would love to see that. So good luck to Rangers fans and good luck to Astros fans. And let's hope that we end the season on a high note. Well, I guess we can't both. So go Astros. Thank y'all for hanging out.
All right, man. Take care.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, y'all.
Yo.
Thank you.
Bury me in the H.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.